Everyone wants a better life. Not just more money, not just a better body, but a better version of themselves. Stronger, calmer, more confident, more in control. And yet, most people stay where they are, not because they are incapable, not because they are lazy, but because they misunderstand how change works. They believe transformation must feel powerful. They wait for a surge of motivation, a dramatic breakthrough, a fresh start on Monday, a new year, a new plan, a new identity. But real change rarely announces itself. It doesn't arrive with fireworks. It doesn't shake the ground. It whispers. And most people are too impatient to hear it. There was a young woman named Elena. Elena carried a quiet frustration inside her. On the outside, everything looked fine. She had a job. She had friends. She had dreams. But at night, when the world became silent, she felt something heavy in her chest. She felt behind her peers, behind her potential, behind the version of herself she imagined. She tried many times to fix it. She downloaded productivity apps. She bought planners. She signed up for online courses. She promised herself that this time would be different. For 3 days, she would wake up early. For 1 week, she would eat clean. For 10 days, she would study intensely. Then, exhaustion would creep in. Then doubt would whisper. Then life would interrupt. And slowly, she would slide back. Each failed attempt added weight to a dangerous thought. Maybe I'm just not disciplined. Maybe this is who I am. That belief hurt more than failure, because failure can change. But identity feels permanent. One evening, Elena visited her grandmother. Her grandmother lived simply. No big house, no luxury, no noise. But there was something steady about her. Calm, grounded, certain. They sat together on the porch. Elena confessed her frustration. I want to grow. I want to become better. But I always stop halfway. Her grandmother looked at the sunset and said gently, "Do you see how the sky changes color?" Elena nodded. "It doesn't change all at once," her grandmother said. "It moves slowly, almost invisibly. And yet, by the time you notice, the whole sky is different." Elena stayed silent. Her grandmother continued, "You don't need a new life tomorrow. You need a slightly better today. One small improvement, just one. That is enough." That night, Elena made a quiet decision. Not a dramatic one, not a public one, a private one. She would stop trying to change everything. Instead, she would aim for 1%. 1% more effort, 1% more discipline, 1% more courage. The next morning, she didn't wake up at 5 a.m. She woke up 7 minutes earlier than usual. She didn't study for hours. She reviewed her notes for 10 minutes. She didn't overhaul her diet. She chose water instead of soda. It felt almost insignificant, too small to matter. But she kept going. The following day, she added a little more. 2 more minutes, 1 more page, 1 more healthy choice, 1 more difficult conversation. At first, nothing seemed different. No applause, no visible transformation, no sudden clarity. Just small, repeated actions. And sometimes boredom. But something subtle began to shift. Not in her results, in her self-trust. When you keep small promises to yourself, you begin to rebuild your identity. Elena no longer saw herself as someone who quits. She began to see herself as someone who shows up. That shift changed everything. 30 days later, she noticed her focus improving. 60 days later, she felt stronger physically. 90 days later, her manager noticed her consistency. 6 months later, her friends began asking what changed. She hadn't transformed overnight. She hadn't become a completely different person, but she had become reliable to herself. And reliability creates confidence. Confidence creates courage. Courage creates opportunity. All from 1%. Here is the truth most people overlook. 1% improvement feels invisible, but it compounds. If you improve by 1% daily, in 1 year, you are not slightly better. You are exponentially stronger, not because of intensity, but because of repetition. Small actions repeated daily create momentum. Momentum creates identity. Identity creates destiny. The tragedy is not that people fail. The tragedy is that they underestimate small progress. They plant a seed and expect a tree in a week. When nothing dramatic happens, they stop watering. Growth requires patience, and patience requires humility. You must accept that today's effort may not impress anyone, not even yourself, but it still counts. Look at your life honestly. You don't become unhealthy in 1 day. You don't become successful in 1 day. You don't become confident in 1 speech. Everything meaningful accumulates. Every skipped workout accumulates. Every avoided responsibility accumulates. Every small improvement accumulates too. The question is not whether change is happening. The question is in which direction. Oh, right now, you might feel stuck. You might feel average. You might feel far from your goals. That's okay. You don't need to leap. You need to step. 1 step. Today. Ask yourself gently, what is 1 small action I can take before this day ends? That makes me slightly better? Not perfect. Just better. Can you read 1 page? Can you walk for 10 minutes? Can you organize 1 part of your workspace? Can you speak kindly once instead of reacting? Can you practice 1 skill for 5 minutes? Choose something so small that your mind cannot argue against it, and then do it, quietly, without posting about it, without announcing it. Just do it. And tomorrow, do it again. Over time, something beautiful happens. Discipline stops feeling like punishment. It starts feeling like self-respect. You no longer chase motivation. You rely on habit. You no longer depend on mood. You depend on commitment. And slowly, your life shifts. Not in explosions, in evolution. 1 day someone will say, you changed. And you will smile, because you will remember the truth. You didn't change in 1 dramatic moment. You changed in 1,000 invisible ones. 1% at a time. 1 quiet promise kept. 1 small effort repeated. And if you take nothing else from this message, take this. You don't need to be extraordinary today. You just need to refuse to stay the same. Choose your 1%. Start now. Protect it. Repeat it. And trust that small steps, taken consistently, create the life you once thought required a miracle. Because the miracle was never intensity. It was consistency. 1%. Every day. Before this video ends, decide your 1%, not tomorrow. Today.